safe space is a place where Black men learn, heal, thrive, and value the freedom to be. A safe space allows Black men to color outside the lines without judgment, stigmas, biases, or boundaries. A safe space is a place where our Black voices impacts and counts. And here are your hosts, Ty Baker Jr. and Dax Addy.
All right, we're back. Welcome, everybody. My brother, my co-host, Dax.
Of course, man.
You ready to rock again today?
Yeah, you paid me my money, so I'm for sure ready to rock.
Just make sure you don't cash it until this Friday.
That's good. Some
Got to clear first.
Okay. That's it.
Another great episode. Another great topic we're going to hit on today. This has been hot in the news. And we're not doing this episode because of what happened. This is something that you and I had talked about previously before what had happened in the news. And we're talking about Tyre Nichols. But this was something that you and I have been passionately talking about. It's something I think about all the time, but that is police brutality.
Yeah, that's a heavy one.
That's
a heavy one, man. I think at this point in time, we can honestly say that even in history, police brutality is at an all-time high.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we're here to kind of discuss and figure out some solutions.
Yeah,
easy solutions.
Easy solutions and ask questions because obviously we're not going to get to all the answers and questions that we want to get solutions to. But I think this would be a starting ground for all of us, a takeoff. So
that's always a good thing. That was so like it's. I think for me, I've always said this is the conversation before the action that happens. And
exactly.
I think we're trying to jump it.
Yep.
And it's always a good thing to jump it because at least we can say, hey, do A, B, and C. Then if something happens, then we can troubleshoot the problem as opposed to the person being prepared, so to speak, for sure. The situation.
Yeah. Holding my phone. Before we continue to go, I want to read off some names.
Okay.
And I want our listeners to think about this while we're reading off these names. The first section, I'm not going to say what the section is. I want our listeners to hear it and actually understand it. And then I'm going to read off a second list as well. And I think you guys will see why I'm reading it this way when I start reading it. All right. Just quick 4 names for the first part. Philando Castile, 2016. Breonna Taylor, 2020. George Floyd, 2020. Tyre Nichols, 2023. All right. Let that sink in. That's just 4 names, right? 4 African-American names that are all deceased. Okay? Those are just 4 names that hit the news that we got to know about. There's probably hundreds and thousands of other stories out there that we don't even know about, that families don't get to speak out on. These are 4 high-profile cases that happened.
That got the platform.
The unnecessary platform at that. Mm-hmm. Platform
National
they weren't asking
attention.
for. Right. We weren't even asking for that. They weren't even asking for that type of attention. Right? I'm going to read 4 more names really quick. Peyton Gendron. Not sure if I'm saying his last name right. Dylan Roof, Kyle Rittenhouse, and Robert Crimo. All right. Those are also 4 names. 4 Caucasian names. They're all still alive. All 4 of them committed a crime, killing people. Right? And they're still alive today. That's not me saying that I wish harm on them by any means. So let's get that clear. Let's get that out. I'm not wishing any harm on that. It's more of creating a point. The first names that I read off, most of them were pulled over, or, Breonna Taylor was in her house, sleeping in bed. These other 4 gentlemen created heinous crimes, killing people, and the police officer arrested them. And what I want to hit on today is why, as African Americans, are we treated differently when it comes to police than other races? Not even just African Americans, people of color in general. So I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce our guest, but that's what we're going to hit on today, and we're going to dive right into it.
Well, I'll tell you what. We'll talk about it, right, like you said, right? But it just so happens that we have somebody here that, even from the previous episodes, have mentored me for situations, whether it be with police or anything, right? This person is somebody who is a retired officer now, but knows so much. He's a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
I've known this guy for almost 10, 12 years, man. He's the one that be like, hey, you need to sit your ass down. And I'm going to sit my ass down. You know?
Hey, sometimes you need that.
You need that. You need that, you know, and I admire, I respect him, and I have literally put his wisdom to test in my life, and it has been effective. I have seen the positives of it, right? And I have the utmost respect for this guy. He's like a father figure to me. You know, you have many fathers. I'm a son of many fathers.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And, you know, this is one of them. His name is, everybody, let me just throw it to him right now. His name is JT, Officer JT. He's retired. He's let the game go a little bit to drop some wealth on us. JT, what's going on?
Greetings, everyone out there in podcast land. I'm glad to be here. Dex invited me to this important talk about police brutality, and I couldn't turn him down. So here I am, and I'm going to try to answer every question I can effectively. Okay, so let's hit it, guys.
Let's get in it.
I love it. Thank you for having us. Or thank you for joining us today.
Yes.
So I you know, he just raised the question, you know, and let's start at the core.
Okay.
From your perspective, why do you think this has started to be like a consistent? Why has there been like a consistency in terms of the way African Americans are treated as opposed to Caucasians or any other race?
Okay. Well, when I look at what's going on as an officer, as a retired officer, I started back in '86. We were mentored by officers to be more emotional intelligence, meaning before we pulled our weapons, let's do investigation, let's talk. Now, with that being said, that's what we used to do first. We didn't start off going for use of force. Mm-hmm. And I think the reason now is so relevant, what's going on, is training. Okay? So let me start with this. It's not that officers are scared. It may sound like I'm saying I'm scared, and it could be a little bit, but I'm going to explain it to you. So you have a kid coming out of college, out of a criminal justice program, okay? White male. Been wanting to be a police all his life, okay? He gets out the academy. They put him in the worst zone in a city, urban city. There he is, first traffic stop, and the only thing he sees is a black male, maybe with a hoodie on or with dreads or with some kind of gear on that he perceives in his mind it is a criminal look. Okay? So he's going from 1 to 10 already because he's never had any confrontation at all with any black males. Okay? Now, you get trained by your FTO officer, but it's nothing like being out there by yourself having to make a traffic stop at 2 in the morning.
Right.
Okay? Now, my remedy to this is when we started, we had to start off at the jail. Okay? So when you start off at the jail, you don't have gun, nightstick, anything. What you have is your gift of gab. Okay? So you go in a cell with 50 guys, and you'd be surprised what they're in there for. You used to have these rap sheets, and you look at the rap sheets, and you're like, oh, my God. And this guy, you know, I'm standing over here talking to him. So you have to have interview skills. You have to have a calm spirit. and you can't go in there thinking you're gonna run it.
Right.
Okay,
That's not gonna
so
happen.
once you get in this atmosphere without having, you can de-escalate a situation without a weapon, with your gift of gab, with 10 guys. You do that for a year. Once you get out in the street, you can identify who the real bad guy is, and you become an investigator first before you try to use the use of force. Now, that's one of my suggestions that stop police brutality, because police brutality actually started after World War II. Okay?
Talk to us about that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about that.
Yeah. So after World War II, you had an influctuation of Black Americans moving from the South to the North because of the Industrial Revolution. Okay? So here we had these blacks coming up from the North to these urban white cities, and the police officers were like, okay, we don't know how to encounter this. So they, instead of coming up, we didn't have no emotional intelligence training, or crisis intervention training, anything like that then. Only thing they could do to try to contain them, which they thought they should contain them because they just feared they were violent people, is we're going to use force. We're going to use scare tactics. Okay? So they will come in with these suppression units. You've heard of these suppression units that are in Memphis. Yep. 4 or 5 guys, and your job is to go down there and make sure that this particular area, usually blacks, is going to be under control. And that's where it started from, gentlemen. Okay?
That's a lot to take in.
He dropped the jewel on you.
No, he did.
He dropped the jewel.
I'm like, I'm asking this question. I'm asking that question. I'm like, dang, like that's a lot to take in. Because then I was like, my main thing is like, what happened to humanity?
Right.
You know, forget the color at this point. Forget that we are 3 black men.
Right.
But you know, officers have this code: serve and protect.
Exactly.
That doesn't happen in black communities at all.
Right.
They come and serve, but they are not protecting. Right. And it's like, what happened to you looking at me as a human being, not looking at me as a black man? You know, because I have a brother that's 6'6", 6'7", you know, huge. He's the baby of the family, you know, 300 pounds.
Right.
Yeah, a cop would probably be scared of him if he saw him late at night.
Exactly.
But that's a human, though.
Exactly.
That's a human being. He just happens to be black and happens to be a tall, bigger male, you know, because I'm sure there are tall Caucasian males that have been pulled over. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what happened to you looking at us as a human?
Well, remember what I said. You take a Caucasian, just got out of the academy, you put them in a zone, just say 2, a good zone, and it's all Caucasians. He stops another fellow Caucasian. He's fine with that. You know, he's not scared of that threat. But put him down in another zone, urban, black American zone, and once again, that fear factor goes up. So he's thinking more himself than that guy is a human being. What can I do for him? So when I was on the street, this is how I always told officers to treat everybody like they're your mother until they show you different. If you take that attitude as an officer, you'll be like me. You can retire in 36 years and get all accolades. Now, I got shot at plenty of times.
Right.
You got me? But once we apprehended the suspect, we didn't take it personal. Because I looked at it like this. Something is wrong with that young man socially.
Ooh.
Socially, you have to look at policing like that. Socially, something made him shoot at the police. Why is he in this state? Okay? And I know they're talking about defunding the police at this time, but I don't say defund the police. I say take the appropriate funds and allocate them to the right services in the police department or in law enforcement.
So they can be more effective.
So we can be more effective and stop the crime before it starts. Because if you look in the neighborhoods, you can. I used to have a a data chart, okay, where all the criminals were coming from that went to the state system.
So you knew.
Oh, I knew.
You knew where you look at like, hey,
oh yeah,
yes, no, and yes.
Okay. But my take on it was, let's put in what I call crisis intervention precincts in that area to try to detour this before it escalated up, especially with the youth. Okay, but here we are. Nobody listening to me, but I am a certified crisis intervention officer, and that's what I wanted to do. Start many precincts, crisis intervention precincts, to combat this crime that was going on, and most of it was social. They didn't have something. Aunt Sue didn't do this, or Uncle didn't do that, and
so a lot of these things are to take care of themselves in some way, shape, or form, not necessarily like a crime.
Right.
Crime.
Right.
Wow.
Do you think that mental health is affecting them as well?
Yes, mental health too. Part of the crisis intervention training was for us, instead of locking them up, mental challenged people, to assess them and then get them to the appropriate mental hospitals in the area. Okay, but before that, we didn't have crisis intervention officers, and we would take them to jail. They get in jail and they become what I call incarcerated. Okay, because what happens is you take someone who's mentally challenged. They may have been off their meds for 2 or 3 days because they didn't have the money once again to get their meds social again. You got me?
Yeah.
Then they commit the crime. They end up in jail, and they don't have money to bond out. So you take a big metropolitan city, you get in the system, you're going to be there for a while,
Right.
maybe a year or two, on something that's a misdemeanor because you didn't have money to bond out. You got me? Okay?
Yeah.
So this is what happens with that. That person probably was functionable when they had their medication. Okay? But since they couldn't afford their medication, they did what they did. They probably had a functioning job. Now they lost their job because they're incarcerated because they can't bond out. You got me?
So they stuck there.
Right, they're stuck there. So once they do get out, they lost their job, what are they going to do?
They ain't got no other choice.
Thank you. So that's why I say most of this is a social issue we can resolve. They can be resolved.
Sorry to cut you off. It sounds like it's a trickle effect.
You're right.
A cycle.
Right.
You know, like you said.
Yeah.
They had the job.
Yeah.
Had the medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have money to continue getting the medicine.
Yeah.
So they were off their medicine.
Yeah.
Got arrested. Lost a job. Stuck in the jail. Got out of jail.
Right.
And do whatever they have that they did.
Lost. Just think about it. You're going to lose your apartment after 2 months if you don't pay.
Yep.
So they're to go homeless. See, there's another issue. They become homeless.
Yeah. That's crazy because what you just said can go into a whole different conversation, you know, and it's just like.
That's what we're talking, like, I just listen to what he just said, like, he nailed it.
Yeah.
Right? We can talk about anything else here. Like, if you're not prepared for something, right, you can create 5 or 6 problems in an instant, move just like that.
Yeah.
And if you look at, the example he just gave, like if you look at some of these guys prior to the issue, they were fine and functioning, right? And then this one thing happened. Now they're in jail. Now they're in jail for an extensive amount of time. And whatever they were upholding, now it's become more of a problem. So problems just start when one problem happens, it starts piling to others, right? And so I guess that's how this stuff is kind of rolling as a domino effect.
Yeah.
But it's funny you say this, and I want to go back to this question, and it's for you too. You said that, going back on the example you gave of the Caucasian kid, getting into the system and then him coming out that night and seeing a couple of black guys, and all of a sudden he's on 10, trying to work back down to 1 that's supposed to 1 to 10. How have you seen those cases? How do you see guys like that?
Yes. That's how, what I'm speaking. Okay, let me put it like this. It's called tacit knowledge and explicit knowledge. Okay? Explicit knowledge is our SOP manual. I can get the manual on a traffic stop. This is how we conduct it. The tacit knowledge is what the officer learned to help him survive and do it right. And he has it in his head how to conduct it. Okay? It's called tacit knowledge. You learn that on the job. Okay? So, yeah, when I'm speaking is tacit, I saw it. And that's what I came up to the reason everybody, every law enforcement, now this is just my opinion, in 36 years, they should start off at the jail to get acclimated with people.
Yeah.
People.
How to deal with people without guns, weapons, and all that first. I'm going to tell you this, too. You become a good investigator, too, because it's a lot of incidents that go on in the jail with inmates. So you have to do an investigation on inmates. So you become a great investigator and a good communicator. And you don't think about going to this for, I'm 150 pounds.
Right.
I arrested many people, very few fights. I mean, I had them, but most of them I used my brain and my knowledge that I learned from being in the jail, how to talk to people. I went to a house one night with me and my partner. I was in warrant division, a bad area of town. Went in, it was like 10 guys sitting down. They're doing their thing. And this is what I said to them, because they were bad guys. I mean, I could look at them. They were ready. I said, gentlemen, we're here for one guy. My partner's gonna show y'all the guy. You don't have to say nothing. We're not here for nothing else.
Nothing else.
Okay? He's gonna go upstairs. He's gonna look for the person. If he's up there, we're gonna bring him out, and we're done. Everybody understand that? They shook their heads. So communication, guys,
is key.
Is the key. So you make a traffic stop on somebody, communicate to them, and that's communication.
Yeah.
That's my key.
So communication over force.
Yeah, over force.
To add on to that, I've always said that not everybody has that skill, and it's such a key thing. Before you go to your side, you got to be conditioned. You got to understand.
Right.
And he said it best just now. Like, once you have it, it's like you're sharpening your intuition towards this thing that you're doing.
Right.
So you can say, okay,
Yeah.
I spent some time in the jail. Trust me. I know the guy in cell 3.
Right.
That ain't the dude you want to have too many conversations with, right?
There you go.
Right? 2 and 1, oh, we good.
Yeah, right.
When I get to 3, I hand him his plate.
Right.
I've been doing that for years.
Yeah.
Right.
That's been our transaction. You
Right.
know your transactions in certain places,
Right.
right? But I don't think everybody has that skill.
Yeah. But I think it goes back to what JT was saying at the beginning, the training.
Right.
Yeah.
How long is a normal training for an officer? And what does that training look like? Because if it doesn't include some type of psychology, some type of communication, then how can I say, me, Tyrone, went to college, and then I'm going to go train to be a police officer, and then boom, you're going to hand me a gun out of nowhere.
Well,
and say I'm going to go protect now. Like,
right.
no, for real, like, does that make any sense? You were handing someone that may be mentally unstable to go serve and protect, or someone that is an open racist to other racists, and it's like you're giving them a license to kill.
But some people have their own personal agenda pre-planned before.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know what the training is for a police officer, but I feel like if there's no type of psychology, course for them, then what are we doing? How we're setting them up for failure already.
That's true.
That's then, you just coursed it. You go to school, you get out of school, right?
Go to the academy.
You go to the academy, you get out of the academy, and then they throw you into, and say, well, hey, first day you out on the blocks. Okay, just so happens today, you on the worst block.
Right.
And you guys remember up in Milwaukee, remember the 3 officers is with the officer who actually did the crime. That was it with their first week.
It was the first week.
Yep.
First week.
See?
Yep.
They didn't know what to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And now they're in jail.
Right.
Isn't that something?
And that's it.
Yeah.
And that's my point in all this. Like, man, in everything, I think you just need social skills
Yeah.
to groom you, to kind of ease. A plane doesn't just go up and then it magically is on the floor.
Right.
You have to come down, and you got to come down at a speed. So if you have an officer out there who ain't never dealt with a black dude or a white dude or whatever the case is, right? And he has no training, no social skills training, right? How awkward that's like being on a date with the baddest girl, and you be like, hey man, I don't know what to do, but I know what I feel. I know what I want to do. You know, there's this jump, there's this disconnect, right?
Yeah.
And so there's just two emotions. And I think oftentimes that's one of the ways we could help this situation. Yeah, a lot of the people out there or police officers, some of them don't have that kind of hand-holding landing or that social, like as you said, the jail experience.
You learn very quickly in that jail.
I think that's a good way to put it right. I want to put some kids in there. Some of my friends need to go to that jail. Right.
Very quickly.
But it teaches you a lot. Some relationships do be that jail. So, and I remember even, back in the day, man, I used to talk to Tracy about all this stuff, man. And, I'd be like, man, how like combative, like what kind of skills set? He's like, man, trust me, I can do it if I need to.
Now,
I can do it. Now,
I'm very well trained in martial arts and boxing, but why do that when you don't have to?
Correct.
Yeah.
I'd rather get the accolade saying you did a good job than having to go to court.
Yeah.
Because you did what you wanted to do.
Yeah. Do you feel like a lot of this is happening because they feel like they can get away with it? Because now, with the passing of Tyree Nichols, it's not just white officers; it's black officers against black people as well.
Now, that incident really, I think it touched every officer, but especially black officers.
Yeah.
Because it just wasn't one; it was five.
Right.
And the way they did him, when I saw the tape, I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah. I told Dax the same thing. I said, I haven't been able to wrap my mind around it because it's like, just watching that, like, that's another black man right there.
Right.
One, getting beat up by other black officers.
Yeah.
And I try to put myself in his position. I'm like, if I was him, I'd be like, thank God I got proven by a black officer.
Right.
I might make it home this time,
At least you're going to either go to jail or go home.
Right, exactly.
Not to morgue.
Right.
You that won't even come across your mind when a black officer encounters another black person.
Right.
It shouldn't.
You think on the positive side as opposed to being on the negative side.
But it really shouldn't on any officer, but you just know here's a guy in my race, at least he understands what I'm going through when the police stops me. Because it is a stressful situation.
Yeah.
When the police stop. I tell all my young officers, that person, when you stop them, they think they're under arrest already. So you got to make them feel good.
You got to bring it down.
Yeah. Because, just think, when you can take a lady who gets stopped. She's, officer, what did I do? Bring them down.
Yeah.
Hey, ma'am, sir, I'm officer such and such. It's going to be all right. Okay?
They never take, they don't take that
That's what I
tone.
used to do. They used to bring them down.
Yeah, bring them down.
Man, I was the hostage negotiator on our unit at night too, because my lieutenant said, "Brian, you gonna let you talk to him when we had warrants and people didn't want to come and all that." And I talked down 2 or 3 guys. I had his girlfriend at bay, the gun, wanted to kill himself, and I just used that guy. And I used to tell him the truth. Listen, man, right now, you gonna go to jail.
We know that.
Because what you did, just don't fake it.
Right.
But if you hurt her, the charge is going to be much different.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm here to talk to you, talk you out. I said, but in about 5 hours, got the SWAT team outside.
It's going to be different.
It's going to be different because we can't just let you do this forever. So let's just ease the pain right now.
Right.
And I used to tell them, you got a mother who's thinking about you. You got sisters, cousins, just like this young lady has. Okay? Right now, it's just probably, if you don't have a criminal record, might do some time under a year. Who knows? But let's go on out. And that's how I used to bring them down. So you had to use, once again, communication skills.
Right.
That worked for me. And that worked because of that jail training. Being in there with all, all the real bad guys. I'm talking about
You don't see them.
bad. I used to see guys on the street. I say, son, you're not bad. I've seen the bad, and you don't want to go there, right? You trust me. And when I used to see guys on the street who thought they were bad, I said, son, trust me, you're not that bad. You don't want to go where the bad guys really are.
Yeah.
Because I've seen them and I know where they are.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I just think that's a big thing when you know
Yeah.
when you've had the real social and personable experience, you know, to deal with people.
Yeah.
You know when you're in trouble versus,
Oh yeah.
this
Yeah.
is a knucklehead right
Yeah.
here, and I
Yeah.
I'm a work him versus him working me,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And you said something that was really big when he turned around and he said, that mama theory,
Right.
I think it works.
It does.
I think it works,
Mhm.
because until and you can almost walk in some really bad places and the guy be like, look,
Yeah.
I know I'm a bad dude,
Yeah.
but I know you ain't here for me now.
Right.
Right. So, well, what's up, JT? Yeah, he back there. Right. That's it. And I think that's what the neighborhood, I feel like you can get to that level.
Yeah.
And it can help a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing too, to help with community police and so won't be so much police brutality, is the officer getting to know everybody in his area. Okay? Once you get to know everybody in your area, they're not going to treat you like an outsider.
Right.
Ah, gotcha.
Okay? You one of them protecting them, believe it or not. Because even the bad guys, believe it or not, want to be protected. Huh?
They call
I've
you.
had bad guys that about to get killed.
They call you.
I can call my buddies up that won this unit with me. They ran. The guy got shot in the leg 3 times. They were getting ready to kill him.
Oh Lord.
And we were coming by. He ran to us. Hey man, they about. Oh, now you want help.
Now you want my help. All right, got it.
But what was so ironic about that, of course, we protected them and all that. And believe it or not, the guys were across the street looking. And we were telling him, tell us, what, he went tight lip. But he wanted us to protect him, which we did. We did our job.
Yeah.
We got him to the hospital and all that. But, yeah, even the bad guy wants to be protected when they getting ready to get off the throne.
Yeah.
Because I tell everybody, every dope guy, 5 years, either going to be dead or in jail. I've seen it.
And it's been consistent.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It don't ever change.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just next.
Right. The next person up there, that's it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you think a lot of these guys suffer from some kind of I think go back on this, you asked this question, mental health? Like a lot of the guys that you've seen, because when you walk into a neighborhood and like you said, you make the connection, they see your face. It's almost like sometimes I'm assuming you get greeted by some of those guys know your name.
My barber, believe it or not, is somebody I incarcerated.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he did a number of years. I was walking across the street one day, Brown, and I get that a lot. Brown, and when they say that, I know where they know me from. But I never had to French up and all that because I know how I treated everybody. He said, man, I did my time. I got out, and I learned how to cut hair while I was in the system.
Wow.
I was like, okay, that's cool, man. Okay, good. Now, this dude is a bad dude, right? I mean,
You know he's a bad.
Oh, yeah, he's
you
still.
know. Right.
I'm not going to say his name.
Right.
But I still had to bring him down like how you call me.
Mm-hmm.
He'll call me. No, I had to
Bring
bring
him
him
down.
down.
Yeah.
No. But he said he was cutting hair. He said, man, why don't you come by and I'll cut your hair for free. I thought about it. I was like, what the heck? So he's been my barber for like 17 years now.
Wow.
Look at that.
He's made a turnaround. Now, he had a little falling off, but we got him back because he always calls me, luckily.
Yeah.
And so I have a lot of people that recognize me on the street, and they will speak. My wife was amazed when she said, how did you know? I said, believe it or not, those are people I had encounters with.
Wow.
And she was like, they act like, I said, well, that's because I treated them like that.
Yeah.
I said, why I'm going to fight with people? For what?
Yeah.
Because something was always said, like I was telling you guys, something happened. And I was just fortunate growing up. I didn't go to jail. Any black male you should be thankful, that you didn't get in trouble. You had a mentor or somebody. Because I remember in '86, the first time I entered jail after I got out of the academy, I was blown away. 18 to about 32 all black men.
Wow.
And I was 22. So I'm thinking like, wow. And
We're the same age almost.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And then you look at this rap sheet. I was talking to him and he did that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I know you said you're retired, but
Yeah.
have you ever thought about doing some type of mentorship? Because I feel like somebody like you can, one, change the lives of a lot of black men out there already. Like you said, you've been.
Here I am with you guys.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
Man.
But I feel like you could also help a lot of young police officers because a lot of these killings that are happening, I feel like there's no excuse to why it happened.
Right.
If you have the proper training, it should have never. Your first response shouldn't be, "Let me go grab my gun." So I feel like you could help a lot of people.
Well, I'm a trainer, and I taught report writing and crisis intervention at the academy.
Okay.
And all de-escalation to the officers, how to de-escalate. Okay. And I'm gonna tell you something else. You guys probably gonna be like, "What? This is the first time you ever heard an officer say this." Sometimes I used to tell the guys, "Let it go. We'll catch them another day. It's not worth it right now." You got me?
Yeah.
You gotta have that. We'll catch them another day, because right now it's too hot.
Yeah.
For both of us.
Instead of having that killer instinct.
Yeah, and usually we caught the person
Another day.
and it was here instead of here.
That's crazy. That's crazy to me because it's like a relationship that you have with the neighborhood and different people. It's temperature real hot right now.
Yeah.
We'll talk to them. Just let them go.
Yeah.
Let them do. Right. It's so true.
Yeah.
What you just said is so true.
Yeah.
You can catch somebody on the right day and be like, I just walked it in.
Yeah.
Like it was nothing.
Yeah.
Right. And you can catch them on the wrong day and find out 4 people dead.
Because there's no way you're going to catch somebody who just jumped a 10-foot fence with barbed wire. Because if you do catch up with them, you're going to be in trouble.
Right.
He got that much adrenaline.
Right.
You got me? That's how I used to think. If I catch up with this guy, and this is true, this is all factual. If he just jumped over a 10-foot fence and clipped on the barbed wire, and you could see the blood dripping because he wanted to get away, catch up with him and see what's going to happen.
Right.
Part 2. Part 2. That's a great point right there.
Yeah.
So sometimes a lot of these things, right, essentially, they happen because emotions were riled and charged up in the moment. Right? You have 4 or 5. The more parties, the more emotions.
Yeah.
And it's at that point it's the Wild West. It's the
Right.
Wild West.
Yeah.
Somebody has to be
Bring
under
it down.
control. Hopefully the officer is. And that's, you guys probably didn't, we didn't say anything about this yet, but in order to combat bad officers, I think there should be a test, a behavioral science test, whatever you call it, so officers can go in there and take that test. And if they show any kind of tendencies or any kind of, they don't need to be doing it.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. I mean, because that, you got to have it. You got to have control in this job.
Yeah.
If you don't have it.
Because the end game is too much power.
Yeah.
It's too much power.
Yeah, and you're talking about people's lives.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You get out of control.
Yeah. It's like you said earlier, you're not going to just let anybody fire an airplane. It's not
Right.
going to go up and then just come down magically.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing.
They talk about it. There's certain jobs, even, being a pilot, you have to take a certain test to see whether you have the mentality for it.
Yeah.
And I think that test right there, right, is missing in a lot of important jobs.
Yeah.
Not everybody
Right.
can do anything.
Yeah.
All right. Certain things you're wired for and you can do it really well. And certain things,
Exactly.
hey, It's not, it's not your thing. If a pilot makes an error, right, or doesn't have enough sleep or something like that, it's not even due to his skill set.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's not like, it's almost like you're above the book at that point in time.
Right.
The book can't do nothing for you.
Yeah.
It's your common sense.
That's right.
That's really going to save you.
Yeah.
And so I agree with what you're saying, and I think that litmus test right there is missing probably in the police force, or more education in terms of that, to see who really fit the bill as opposed to who won a check.
Yeah.
And that's just the basic. Now, check this out. Once you get in the department, you go to different divisions, okay? So you got the hostage negotiation division, executive protection, SWAT, and like that Scorpion unit, right? So those people in those units should have to take another test to see if they're able to handle that job. You got me? Because if they don't, it can end up like that Scorpion unit did in Memphis. Those guys were comfortable with that, and they got out of control. Now, to combat that, what you do, you take the opposite person to be their commander, okay? Who has emotional intelligence. Right. So you take somebody like out of the crisis intervention unit, or maybe a hostage negotiator, to be over there to keep them in check. Peer pressure. Correct. Law enforcement peer pressure within it. Yeah. So somebody can make a logical decision and won't escalate up when you encounter a bad guy who's already, like I said, escalated up.
Yeah.
Okay. On our SWAT team, just imagine this. Everybody was a Marine.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah.
That means that everybody can beat you up with or without a gun.
Exactly.
Yeah. That ain't right. Weapons or no weapons is an L. Yeah. It's a guarantee L.
And if you ever met a Marine, there are some tough guys. Yeah. Every Marine I ever met in law enforcement is a tough guy. Wow. You can imagine. And not all of them are bad, but they're the right people for the SWAT team. Yeah. Yeah. You got me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like JT Brown is not a SWAT guy. No. House of the negotiator? Yes. President? Yes. SWAT? I know.
Wow.
So, but they should be able to have to take a test and also have a commander over them who's not like them.
Yeah, I agree.
He just said something real big that stuck out to me. When you're not something, to be able to say you're not something. Yeah. Don't just agree on it just because. We talk about this all the time with mental health, right? So, some people fake it. Yeah. Like, hey, listen, for it to not be you, it's actually a good thing because I don't want to put you in a situation where you get your butt whooped, right? Or you don't come home. Like, what happened to your eye? I got 2 black eyes. I can't see until Tuesday because I decided to get a fight going, and I didn't know that emotions were riled up, right? And I lost all of it. I got beat up by my guy, their 2 guys, and now I'm hit. Yeah. So just saying no, like, hey, this doesn't work for me. I love it, but it's not what I'm good at, right? And the testimony of your true self. Getting to a point where you know your true self, what you're good at and what you're not. Yeah. Is key. But I think a lot of guys cross that, and things like this may be a result of that. Yeah. They don't have the proper training. Mentally, they're not able to be in this department, right? 3, right? And then there's the civilian side. Assessment, yeah.
Communicating it through.
Yeah, which is like there's the police side, and then there's also the other side of this, which is I'm a kid. I wasn't supposed to be there. Right? Okay. Or, because I always look at things as there's the problem that happened, right? Right. But then there's this preparation time before on both sides. Yeah. What did each person do for the emotions to meet in such a raw value? Right? Like you were saying, hey, if this guy's been running and jumping and this and that, all right? And then I'll be like, hey, man, let me talk to you right now. Yeah. Like, yeah, you can talk all you want. Yeah. Right. Right. So my question, and something for you as well, man, is that from, the perspective of the people who got the bad end of this, do you think there's things that we could have done as well on that side?
It's so hard for me to even jump into that because it's like I was saying at the end of the day, at the beginning of the conversation, it's like Of course, there's other things that we could have done differently. But it kind of flows into what I was going to say next. Look at your counterparts or your Caucasian people who went and killed those people. Right. They could have done something completely different as well instead of killing them.
Absolutely.
But officers, instead of taking them out, decided to arrest them. So yes, I'm sure in any situation you could have done something completely different. But killing someone over a traffic stop.
Yeah.
I can't bring myself to say, oh, he could have done something differently then. You know what I'm saying?
I totally get what you're saying. And when you say that, then I lean into the conversation he just had. Like, if you're startled, you're already on 10. Yeah. You're supposed to be the person diffusing.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly. As opposed. So I get the casualty of it. Right. The only thing I say, just for a transparent perspective, sometimes, when these things happen, we try to give advice on what the crime was and also the preparation time before on both sides. You see what I'm saying? If you just egg it on, because just as bad as, I always give this as an example. We were talking about this earlier, right? If you know your neighbor's racist and they shooting every single day, right? And you decide, right, to go and let's say the wife is home, right? The wife says, hey, or two kids are playing in the yard, in the black yard, and the next door neighbor they're racist, right? So the ball falls over to the next door neighbor's yard, right? And one of the kids just decides naturally to what? Run over and go get it. Mm-hmm. The wife sees him, right? The pops comes out with a gun and pulls out a gun on the child, right? You see a situation right there just started, right? It's innocent to get the ball and come back, right? Now, you're the father in the black home. You run outside now. You run naturally, like, go get your son because you see this guy coming out with a gun, right? That's a whole problem that just started because of no communication. No communication to tell your child, hey, listen, they shoot over there. If I catch your butt over there, I'm going to box you, right? Two, right? Understand that's just what we don't do. So that's why I talk about the preparation before on both sides. However, I do understand the casualty of this. Right. Let me just make that known.
I think that it's so hard to have that conversation because that's the part that frustrates me as a black man, that I even have to have that type of conversation with my kids. Yeah. I shouldn't have to live in a world to where I have to tell my kids, hey, that person over there might shoot you, or when you're driving, do this. When I drive now, I don't put my registration inside of my glove compartment.
Right, exactly.
I have it in my visor, and I'm licensed to carry as well. So the first, I haven't luckily been pulled over in years, but if it was to happen, I would automatically give them my carry first. Hey, I'm concealed. Here it is. This is where it is, and my rest of my documents. Yes. But as a black man, I shouldn't have to walk around like that. I shouldn't have to tell my kids we have to live a certain way because society is going to treat us another way. White people don't walk around like that. No white person walks around saying, oh, Jimmy, don't go over there. Right. They might do something to you. That's not how they live life. Right. That's how we live life every single day. And that's the frustration there. That's the struggle. You shouldn't have to be in fear of being pulled over or, doing whatever. Yes, we make mistakes, and yes, we could have done things differently. But as a black man, I shouldn't have to live life like that.
Yeah, and like you stated, it's kind of like stereotyping.
100%.
Every black man who has on a hoodie is not a criminal.
Yep,
that's true.
And like I said, once again, you treat everyone like your mother until they show you different. Mm-hmm. That was my law, and that's what the guys in my unit, that was our law. Because I met some guys, we might stop them on a traffic stop or tail light, just something minor, and they look like they were the baddest guys, but they turn out to be the nicest. Mm-hmm. Hey, officer, I got my registration. And you thinking, okay, this guy. Then you met some people got on suits. I had this guy once, looked like a pastor, dressed up. he gave me a concussion fighting, threw me down, and
Wow.
yeah. We're like, what is the deal? Come to find out, he had 10 fake credit cards and 10 different fake IDs on him.
Wow.
And he had went over to a well-known mall and had purchased a bunch of items. He ended up getting 10 years and aggravated assault on me.
Wow.
Yeah. And I stopped him because of a situation. He didn't pay something, and they called me. I was working an extra duty job. They called me down, and, I'm thinking, dang, this guy is all right. So you can never tell. So that's why I never, until I started talking to you and assessing you, I don't care what you look like.
Yeah.
You can have on a 3-piece suit, gold rings, all that. I'm treating you like this first, then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Because you can never tell.
Do you feel like society has impacted the mindset of a police officer to look at people differently?
Well, I don't want to get on any industry, but some industries have projected us that way. So when people see that, they just automatically, okay, that particular dress is like what I saw over here. And he's emulating what they did, so he must be like them.
They see the blue, they don't see the person.
Right. You got me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's hard not for everybody's got some bias in them. If somebody says they don't, they're lying.
Yeah.
But you had to work through that, especially as an officer. We used to, when I was teaching crisis intervention, I say everybody is biased to something, but you got to work through your bias. Let's see what your bias is and work through that. I used to have to write their biases down and say, now, you don't have to share it with nobody, but you have to work through that when you stop somebody or a mental challenged person or whatever it could be. Work through your bias.
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
I think most of this stuff is boiling down to a social skill, man.
Right.
Yeah, you gotta have some game out there.
Yeah.
You ain't got game, that's it.
Yep.
And I just think some people, they ain't got game. I've always said this: some people can research, right, but they can't put the information together. And my wife get on me about that. Oh, you this and that and this. I said, go ahead and give me something to eat. No, but it's just then I get popped.
I was about to say comfort. I don't know what he's talking about.
But I definitely feel that that's one of the key things, in a lot of the things that you said, is that these guys are just, it's like, man, anything else. I don't know why society has like this gap in training when it comes to the social skills. Right? You get a real estate license, and they said that you ain't learned nothing. And a lot of people get let down the first 6 months when they find out you got to go door knocking and get to know some people. So, and I think this is almost somewhat of the same little gap of social skills. You don't have no on the job, so to speak, experience. So you don't know what to do.
The training, I mean, just like you said, no on the job experience, enough of it. You go to academy, they give you all the explicit knowledge. You want to do it like this, like on Dragnet or like you NCIC. Yeah, right.
That was my movie.
But when you get out there, you're like, hold on now.
It's different.
What?
Yeah.
So you might go from quick.
Wow.
He mentioned something big too earlier when you said a lot of this, the system, so to speak, was already built on just like, taking people out first.
Right.
It wasn't on training or really protecting.
No.
It was they sent police people in to pretty much police you down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I said before on last episode, we started out with a target on our back.
Yeah.
That target's still there today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just think of the Memphis Scorpion unit, a suppression unit, they call them. Suppression. On who?
Just the word alone tells you they ain't coming for you to help you.
Suppression unit, like, whoa, man.
Hearing that, it's like, dang, like, what are you really teaching them?
Right.
Not you, but like, what are they really teaching back there? So it's just scary to think.
Ain't that crazy for people to even understand that pretty much this is what the original thought was? So it's almost like saying, hey, we're here to hurt you first before we went to hell.
Yeah.
Right? You know?
I watched this video. Colin Kaepernick has a new show out, and I cannot remember the name of it, but it's about this city where this officer was blatantly coming out telling their officers to take them out first.
Yeah, see,
It's easier to take them out than pay the money from the state or something like that. And you can find the clip online. But I remember watching that, and it showed the actual footage of I don't know if he was a captain or something like that, and he was like, take them out first, and instead of paying the $5 million, we're gonna have to pay the family eventually. And I'm like,
wow,
it's to the point, and it was old footage, so you
Mhm.
can tell it was a while ago. But I'm like, they are blatantly out there saying this, kill him,
yeah.
kill him first.
Do you know that, and I won't say where I heard this, but there's an algorithm from companies, major companies, right, on what it would cost, right, for you to be in a company for the life of you staying there versus your death being a part of the company. They know what they're going to pay out, right, what your value is. So if you, oh, man, you know, you've been here 30 years, they know what your value is. Like, let's say in the event you die, they know exactly what the dollar amount would take, whether it be, oh, man, from us, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yep.
There's
That's
some
crazy.
airlines that know that as well, you know, but it's interesting. I've heard that before. And I heard it from a very powerful person.
And if there's an algorithm for that, I can't guarantee it, but I feel like there might be one for policing as well.
Right.
That's some scary shit, man.
To keep people out. And it's in our business.
Oh, yeah.
It's in our business.
Yeah.
What it would cost to have you around, right, for the duration or the life of a production or being a part of a company versus something happening to you. Like how long story short, what's your worth?
Yeah.
Dead or alive. Right.
Man. Well, we got to wrap this conversation up. I want to ask one more thing, and I'm going to ask it with a story. I remember I was 16 years old. I just got my first car. It was a baby blue box Chevy Caprice, 100-spoke rims on it. Loved it. White interior, 212s in the back. It was my favorite car. You know, you ask anybody today, they're like, yo, what's Ty's favorite car? That box Chevy. And I was dating someone who lived on a predominantly white side of the city.
Okay.
And I remember 2 weeks in a row, I took a different route home. I went across a bridge. Would drive through downtown. Got stopped twice, back to back, by the same officer.
Wow.
For the same bogus charge. He's like, your light is out in the back. I'm 16 years old.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, officer. Can I get out, take a look? Sure. Light is fine. Following week, same officer, same spot. Didn't I pull you over last weekend? Light is out. And I'm like, oh, okay. Get out, look again. Light is perfectly fine. And the car, it looks like something that maybe a drug dealer would drive.
Right.
I'm 16 years old, and, you know, I get made fun all the time, but, you know, I talk white.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm, yes, sir, no, sir.
Mhm.
I'll do whatever I need to do to get it taken care of. And I hate to even ask this question, but what advice would you give to a young black man that's starting to drive, you know, if he is to get pulled over?
Well, the first advice is don't speed. You won't have to have an encounter. But this is the advice I give. Make sure you have all your legal documents, meaning your driver's license is not suspended. You have insurance on the vehicle. You have your tag up to spar, everything legally first before you get in the car. Okay? That's where we're going to start. So then just say you do get stopped. It may be bogus or it may be something legit. First thing you do, you just sit there, roll your window down. Don't move to the back of the vehicle. Don't move to the front. Don't go to the glove compartment. Just sit there and even cut the vehicle off. Okay? Roll your window down, cut the vehicle off. The officer is probably going to approach you from the driver's side. We used to go, from the passenger side now, we used to go from the driver's side, but community officers been getting hit on the freeway like that. So he's going to approach you from the passenger side, so have that window down. And when he comes up on you, just keep your hands on the wheel, and he's probably going to ask you a series of questions. And you say, yes, sir, no, sir, they're in my glove compartment. I have them in my back pocket. Do you want me to reach for it at this time? Give me some law. Tell him, you can even say this, give me some lawful commands. I will do some lawful commands, officer. He knows when you say lawful commands, he knows somebody has schooled you on how to have an encounter with the police. So remember that. Lawful commands, officer. I'm telling you, it will go well with you. Yeah. Okay? But if you say, what you want me to do? Or, however you escalate it or whatever, it might not be so good. Yeah. So I would say, officer, I'll take lawful commands. I tell all my people that to ask me. And I've had people to come, man, that helped. I said, yeah, because officers know somebody has talked to you. Right. And you know somebody now that possibly is going to be accountable if you do get jammed up by him doing wrong.
I love it.
You got me?
Yeah.
So something that, once again, communication.
Yeah. And I think that's the key for this episode is communication. Yeah. I pray we get to a day to where people of color don't have to be in fear of their life for getting pulled over or even, stopped on the sidewalk or whatever, people like you will make a difference in this. And you've already changed a lot of lives. So, thank you for coming on the episode today, and thank you for giving your insight on everything. And
you're welcome. Anytime.
I greatly appreciate it. And I can tell you we will not be ending this conversation here. I feel like, police brutality is a huge topic, and we'll be continuing this later on down the road as well.
Definitely. And we're going to all try to stop speeding. Ty got a heavy foot, and I got a heavy foot, but my car said, no. Yeah, whether you got a heavy foot or not, we're not running.
Well, that's all we got for today. I appreciate and love everybody. Thank you guys for joining us again. And,
thank you so much, JT.
Yes, sir.
JT. Make sure you guys tune in for the next episode. Don't forget to go like, share, and comment.
Thank you for tuning into this week's episode. Please be sure to like, share, and comment on all of our social media platforms.